Hello guys, I'm your chestnut fairy and I got rejected from art school. Well, let's rewind a few months ago. I decided that I don't want to learn any more about history and don't want to learn anything more about art history because I just learned that the prospects of my future will be less than I thought they would be, especially as a woman in this field. You will earn less money and it's harder to get into jobs, and also a lot of times history is very male and also perceived as male, so you will go into history with male eyes and not with female eyes, and it's kind of a sad thing, but it's the truth, and I don't see myself in this area anymore, so I decided I will look at something new. And something I always loved was art, and I already teach art in a few workshops I created myself, so going to an art school would be great, I thought, especially in the study teaching, which is separate in Germany. So I decided I will try to go to the Artakademie of Düsseldorf, or in German die Kunstakademie Düsseldorf. In my case, I was quite confused because I don't see much of the portfolios that try to get into this specific art school, but the Artakademie of Düsseldorf is very, very famous. A lot of amazing photographers and artists went there, so I thought, why isn't anybody posting their good results or their bad results? And so here am I. I hope the ones that try to see what the Art Academy likes and dislikes will have a few more ideas afterwards. So if you want to do an art portfolio, a lot of academies like it when you have a topic for your art portfolio. In my case, I wanted to see what is perceived and what is not perceived, which means dreams, illusions, hallucinations, and a lot of fantasy, and those were all of my elements I tried to involve, and a lot of eye topics. So I tried to show how the eyes work and how I could sketch them, and this was the main topic. And I tried different techniques. You will see it in the art portfolio later. But in general, I think I already know what the problems are. But if you are just a person that likes to see those portfolios and also got into the art academy, you can probably comment on my videos and can help me a little bit, because I don't know what the University of Düsseldorf wants, to be honest, because it is a very high elite university as far as I know, and so my chances in getting in next time are still the same, I think. So I am not smarter than before when I'm honest, but I work and try to get a new portfolio. This is my biggest wish. Anyways, so let's see how the art portfolio looks, and then I see you in the end. And stay tuned because I will explain more in the end. So ciao ciao. The first thing in my portfolio was a list with every title and artwork and time I created those artworks. And the first actual artwork was a series of paintings called The Hours of the Muses, and they were made with oil chalk, and I then glued them onto a bigger piece of paper, which was an A2 format. I want to stress out that this painting series is a series and not a single artwork of its own, so you will count them as one and not as 4 pieces. And the next one is a series again, but this time made with watercolors, gold paint and gouache, and it showed different kind of Willow Doors. I hope I said this right. These are little lights that bring wanderers and sailors into the wrong direction and lead them to crash, and I just wanted to show them as women. In a lot of my paintings you will only see women because I think that women and magic go hand in hand, so I just wanted to show those women dancing and having fun and not being interrupted until someone else arrives. Next one you will see is the dream sketches of a child. These are just a few sketches I made, and those resemble dreams I had. But also I used a few Hollywood and late 20s photographs as inspirations and try to bring something personal into them. In this case, I often use the stars, the sun and the moon as symbols and as motifs in my paintings and sketches, so it will not be the last time that you will see a lot of them, and I mean a lot. They are quite as common as the eye symbol in my drawings and sketches, and I just wanted to show how I saw the world as a child. As I promised, you will see the stars, the sun and the moon again in the next series, which is an ink series and acrylic series called Growing, and it resembles from going to a child to become an adult, the loneliness, the sadness, but the happy moments, falling in love, and it just shows the full aspects of the teenage being in form of the sun, the moon and even the stars. And yeah, people want to catch the stars at this time and just become grown up but forget the fantasies around them, and I just tried to find a way to portray this, and I will use this painting again in my drawing series for my new portfolio because this is one of the sketches and artworks I really liked. As you see, I also used again a white background. You will see it at every painting and it is kind of uniformity. The next one is called the Venetian Ball, or the Carnival of Animals, and I just imagined that animals would Venice instead of humans, and they dance and dress up and get ready, and that this man in the middle is the king that enjoys the day and the evening, and that is just a happy day. And as you see in the background, those are traditional Venetian masks which were common in the 15th century. The next one is also one of my favorite topics, mushrooms. I really love mushrooms, and I imagined them as human beings. Each one has their own personality, being sad, being angry, being arrogant, and also I just thought what could be a way how mushrooms could walk, and I thought about a frog as a carriage, and I also made a more easier design with no heads and just the mushrooms as a head, and that I could dance around the fire. And the next again was a personification, and this time a personification of trees, and I just used watercolors and just draw without a sketch beforehand, so it just was kind of a sketch or just a simple experiment how it would work, and this was my way of drawing in this case. So it's not perfect and I don't want it to be perfect. This is just a sketch for later drawings that I did not make and also did not put in this portfolio, but this was an idea. I also will not use this one again, but in a moment I thought it looked cool. It is something I rarely see, and I really like the idea of being close to the nature and imagining things that aren't there, kind of. This one is just about dissociation, and you will end up in kind of a different world, so you will be in a safe headspace, and in this case for me it is always nature, and I just think my head is in kind of a cold water that I cannot get out, and I don't hear anything or realize anything. This one is called The End of the World, which is kind of a medieval idea of weird animals living at the other side of the world where the world ends, and this one is a real one. So the people believe that this one was a mystical being in Africa, and this is also inspired by mystical being. The two others are not, and they're also just made from ink but try to imitate artworks from the medieval time. Then I showed a few of my fairy tale paintings. This one is called The Snow Girl, or the Old Snow Woman, and I wrote a fairy tale about her, that she is this kind of beautiful woman that you see in your dream, and when you go up to the mountains you will age and she will take your young beauty, and one day a young man comes and tries to fight her and she will turn to stone. And the next one is a fairy tale that you already know because I told you about, which is called The Sun and the Moon, or the Moon Dance, and is about a couple of sisters that fight against each other because of the magic brush. this one was a series, but I showed them as each of a kind, which is Fantasia. Fantasia stands for daydreaming and seeing things that aren't there, while escapism is a world where you go to and try to escape the real world, just using drugs and alcohol and just fun and entertainment to escape the reality. So we have Adam and Eve holding drugs, we have amusement park, we have the gates to the real world, we have a little ride and the moon that balances on a very small string. And this one is the reality, or called Relatia, which shows my rotation of the real world. This one was quite a bit older and inspired the other two, and just shows a company of reason and how you can be an enemy of this system of logic and be an idiot. And those idiots are, as example, Trump and a lot of those that conspire against the systems. But we have bright and young minds, we have the earth that will regrow with new ideals and people protesting and fighting for, and it is inspired by a lot of new topics of this era, and is also inspired by one of the Dadaist colleges that I saw once, which is called Der Schnitt mit dem Küchenmesser durchs 20. Jahrhundert. I am not sure, it has a very long title, but it just goes about the contrast of the very cruel world and the hope that the world can get. This one was a series about fantastic beings in the wood. This is the folk of mushroom people. As you see, I am very interested in the personification of nature, and I just dressed up as different mushroom characters, playing, dancing and singing and enjoying a day in the nature. I also made a pair of sisters out of roses and dressed up in a very old-fashioned dress, and I think they look kind of cute. They're called Flora and Fauna, and this one is called the Rule Mother and is a very creepy being. And a lot of people like this artwork. However, I also will not use this photograph series. I also think that this was very confusing, that you can't use photographs for the Art Academy of Düsseldorf when you try to get into a specific topic. And this one were called the Gorgonen heads, and it shows different scenes about Medusa and different emotions that she felt from being created and getting killed, and the last moments before she gets killed. This one is called the New Medusa, which shows women in the Iran conflict and that we need to help them because they will be killed, and a lot of people fight for them, but it's still not enough, and it's very, very sad to see. So I also heard the quote that they fear the hair of the woman and that this will be their weapons. So I just made the new Medusa out of her hijabi, and this one was called Only a Woman, or Just a Woman. One woman, only just one woman, and just shows the story of Medusa, but you can interpret that the three persons at the beginning were three versions of the story. One getting haunted and never getting saved, the one finding saving, and the one being cursed and have to live forever and being shunned by society. And you can see it as being assaulted on the street and having different versions of it. Oftentimes women that get harassed will be shamed. What did you wear? Did you drink? So this is kind of the topic I had, and then I just showed how my work desk looked like. So there are a lot of coffee stains and stains from tea and a lot of sketches and a lot of my poems. So you will see a lot of things on this sketchbook table and I just wrote a lot of poetry and put poetry from 2019 and 2023, and yeah, you see that I kind of worked on them in my little created work desk. But I heard from an art student that he also put poetry in and got in, so I'm not sure if they like it or not, but I still wanted to try it out. And this one are just very anatomical sketches of the eye and how the eye works. As I said, this was something I was also interested in because it's just not about the reasoning behind seeing, but also what you can see in reality, and those are different things like the skin, like the ear canal and how an ear works, and the tongue and the skin. This was everything in my real art portfolio, but I also did make an overworked portfolio for another university that I will show in the next part. So, as you see, there were a lot of paintings. This art portfolio was a very big format, I think A2, so it was this big, 70 centimeters, and it was a process to draw everything, and it is very sad that I won't use most of those things anymore for my new portfolio because I will have an absolutely new topic. And it is sad, but I think it is good that I have something new, because only when I do something new I can grow in my prospects and in my possibility to get into university and also my art skills. So I have to draw something new. But as I said, remember, stay in your style. This is something every art academy says. And also be yourself. So do topics that you are interested in. I've seen people draw a lot of insects, a lot of garbage, literal garbage, so trash, not anything mean. I don't want to say anything mean. Those are very great paintings. I want to say this again. This is not making fun of them, just a topic. So anyway, so fish, garbage, marine as a topic, and they showed the sea and how different knots are made, and they are very interesting and beautiful artwork. So you have to find a topic, and you also need to be very creative in which way you show those topics. If you are right now doing your portfolio, don't feel frightened because your answer looks like mine, or you just feel like you couldn't get in. Don't think this. The criteria are very unknown, and you could get in, especially in art teaching. They just want to see how you create and not really how skilled you are, just because you need to be creative for your students later. I will work with you. You will see a few updates, or maybe you see my art portfolio when it is finally finished. And stay tuned for the next part of this video. It will be out in a few weeks. Maybe I have a different topic in between, because you will not believe it, but I have new sewing projects, I have new art projects and new craft projects I definitely want to do. So it could take time, but it could also not take time. Depends. So, and I'm also having a job, so I could be a little bit more busy than I was already. But anyways, I will find time to post. And until then, I will see you. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay happy, stay healthy, stay magical, and see you soon, your chestnut fairy.